interesting because it has got a collection of all the journal information. Now, if you go into ProQuest, ProQuest has got books, ProQuest has got journals. Okay, so it is a database. It's a bibliographic database. And they can be searched electronically. That means through your computer, through an online link, we can search them. And it is available for a fee on a subscription or on a pay as you go basis, because some of the databases we really need to pay. Some of the databases are free. But if you want a full text article, all full text articles are not freely available in these databases. If you want a full text article, we should get it through our contacts, or we need to, the library has to pay, or sometimes the organization pays for those particular bibliographical databases, and also they pay for individual journal subscription. Okay, then only we will be able to access for the full text article. Otherwise, the abstract and the title will be available, and through our networking skills, we should be able to get the full text article. Then free at the point of use through national provisions. We have the National Library, so or the ICMR, sometimes some of the databases or the journals are freely available because they have subscribed it and it is made available to the entire nation. So that is how we get some of the information free. Then to search the trials or the studies which are done, we have the Medline. Okay, it provides a free version of Medline. Also, it is available. There is a PubMed and there is a Ovid Medline. There are two things. Okay, then Embase, which is available only on subscription, which is a database which has got millions of records. Then Cochrane Library, we have the Cochrane Central Register of Controlled Trials. Earlier, the ICMR had subscribed to it and it was freely available, but now we are not getting free access to this, but we will get the list of trials that are carried out. That means trials are nothing but the research studies that are carried out, and we need to search for the Cochrane Central Register of Controlled Trials. Cochrane also has got data for systematic reviews. Then there are regional databases. If you go to every nation, there are regional databases. Some are free, some are fee-based. Okay, so you have to really look for information. Now, African continent, we have the African Index Medicus. Australia, we have the Australasian Medical Index. China has the Chinese Biomedical Literature Database. Eastern Mediterranean has the Index Medicus for Eastern Mediterranean region. Europe has got the Pascal, which is fee-based. India has got the INDMED. Korea has got the KoreaMed. Latin America has got their search. Southeast Asia, Ukraine and the Russian Federation, Western Pacific. So every region has got their own region-specific databases. Then we also have the social and community health welfare databases like, can this be removed, the top part, because it is a disturbance in my slide there. The top thing, the control panel, can you anyone remove it?
Ma'am, that is that we cannot do. You can move the cursor to downwards from there, so it will not show.
I tried moving down, it will not go beyond down because it is hiding my slide. Okay, so we have the social and community health and welfare like age line. For elderly data, child data, we have child data, community-wise, social care online and social service abstracts. Social science, education, psychology, and psychiatry related, we have the applied social science index and abstracts. For Campbell also gives the social, psychological, educational, and criminological trial registers. Then we have the ERIC, which gives on education related informations like studies which are carried out on teaching learning methodology, curricular instructions, innovative methods of teaching learning. Okay. Then Psych Info, social policy and practice, and sociological research, which are given in the sociological databases. Then there are some full text journal sources which are available worldwide without any charge, like Biomed Central, the PLOS, Public Library of Science, the PubMed Central, which has got open, because the publishers, when they publish articles, they charge from the authors. So that is why it is freely available. Then website listing journals offering free full text access, which includes the free medical journals, the high wire press. Then there are examples of the specialist conference abstract sources, which you can find in the biological abstracts are reported in the scientificthompson.com. Then British Library Inside, you get it in the British Library site. British Library Direct Plus ISI proceedings, you will get in this scientificthompson.com. So this will give you on these conference abstract sources. And for information regarding the evidence-based guidelines, we have got different websites which give on this, like the Australian National Health Medical Research Council Clinical Practice Guidelines. They have their link. Canadian Medical Association has got, National Guideline Clearing House has got, National Library Guidelines are there, New Zealand Guidelines Group is there, NICE clinical guidelines are there. So when you search, these are the evidence-based guidelines which will tell you. So why I'm telling you about this guideline is that for doctoral studies and higher level studies which you are doing or for projects, really you need to see the guidelines will include this literature which is done from the systematic reviews. They will have literatures which are done from RCTs. They will have literature related from the case control studies, depending upon the level of evidence. Okay, so that is why we are going to look for the references which are there in the guidelines. But guidelines can be used as an information source for us for learning. Then there are national and international trial registers for unpublished studies. Okay, so now for India, we have the Clinical Trial Registry of India. So every protocol or the research proposal which has been done has to be registered in Clinical Trial Registry of India. So before we carry out any study, first thing what we have to do is we need to go through the Clinical Trial Registry of India, and we have to see what are the protocols that are being registered. So you know this study has been carried out by so and so in this part of the place in India. So that is how. 1 minute. 1 minute. Hello. Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So we have different registers. So for India specifically, we have the Clinical Trial Registry of India. So before we carry out any studies, we need to go through the Clinical Trial Registry of India and see whether this particular topic that I am interested, has this study been conducted by someone? Because these are all the research protocols which are registered before conduct of this study. So once the ethical approval is given by the institution, we have to register in the Clinical Trial Registry of India. So the protocol is available. So you know so and so as proposed for the research study. Similarly, there are research, these trials are being entered in different regions. They have their own trial registers. So we can have a look at these trial registers and we can see what are the studies which are globally done. What are the studies which are done in India? Are anyone replicating this study? Okay, so if you are finding that study, you can go through their methodology, everything, and see, am I doing the same thing? Can I replicate this particular study in my setup? Okay, so that is how this trial registers will help. So same, as I said, we have the WHO, the Hong Kong Clinical Trial Registry, the Indian Trial Registry, the International Clinical Trial Registry, the International Federation of Pharmaceuticals for Pharmacy Studies, International Standard Randomized Control Trial Number Register, the Netherlands registers. So these are some of the registers which we have for unpublished studies. Okay, here you have to remember, the research is not being carried out. It is only the trial protocols are being registered. Okay, South African National Clinical Trial Register, the UK Clinical Research, the UK Clinical Trials, the UK National Research Register, University Hospital Medical Information Network, Australian New Zealand Clinical Trial Register, and Center Watch Clinical Trial Register. So if you search, you have got different trial registry which are available, which will give you the title of the research that is being carried out in different parts of the world. Okay, so the list continues. You can see here we have the Chinese Clinical Trial Register. China is one of the countries which carries out most of the research. The current control trial meta register of control trials. Okay, all the control trials, the randomized control trials are registered there. Then current control trial meta register for control trials. Then European Medicines Agency, German trial register, etc. So these are some of the sources where you could search for literature which is online. Otherwise, we need to go to the library and search for the individual journal for an article or for books for information. Okay. Basically, when you're doing an advanced search, we use information from all these databases. Now, I said there is a difference between a systematic review of literature and review of literature. Okay, systematic review of literature is like a research study where you're going to do, you follow a methodology for searching the literature. Okay, so that normally for a postgraduate study or undergraduate research study, we are not going to do. We are going only to search the literature. Okay, there is a vast difference between the systematic review of literature and generally searching the literature for our postgraduate research. So many a times we think that I have searched one database and then I put the Prisma flowchart. I will tell you what it is, but that is not correct. Okay, that is not, we cannot use the Prisma flowchart when we have not done the systematic review of literature. We have to write a protocol for a systematic review of literature. There is a methodology for doing a systematic review of literature, and it is like a research process. So that is the difference between a review of literature and a systematic review of literature. Now I will just tell you how to go about searching the literature as a student, a postgraduate student, or as a faculty, how we have to go about searching the literature. So when we do a literature search, first we need to design the search strategies. Okay, like what are we going to search? Is our review including only the randomized trials, or are we including all study designs? For example, if I'm doing a study on COVID-19, okay, the efficacy of vaccine among the population for prevention of COVID-19. Now, when I say efficacy of vaccine for prevention of COVID-19 among the general population, I need to look for studies. Are you seeing for any RCTs which were done where the group was randomized into a control group and an experimental group, where the population was divided? Some population was given vaccine, some population was not given vaccine. And is there any studies published like that? Is it that is my interest? Or I am going to see whatever is the population who have received this vaccine, how many of them got the COVID-19? Is there any study that is being published? Okay, in that case, we follow up a group of people and then we observe. So that type of studies which were done could be the case control study or the cohort study or the observational studies. So we need to know, understand the research methodology. Based on that, we need to really think, am I going to include only RCTs? Okay. So if my study is to see the efficacy of any intervention, then it is RCTs and non-RCTs can be done. But RCTs always have a higher standard because they are gold standard for any research. So are you going to include only RCTs or are you going to include other studies? That is the second decision we need to take, and it depends upon what is my study. If my study is an intervention study where I'm going to do an RCT, my focus is only on RCT, or am I looking at other non-RCT studies also? Then the third thing we need to consider is any geographic consideration. Am I restricting to all the studies which were done in India, or all the studies which were done in South Asian region? Or am I including the studies which were done only in developing nations or the low middle income countries? Or am I including all the global studies in my review? Okay, so that in my review, I can organize, these were the studies which were done globally, these were the studies which were done specifically in India, and that is how we need to look at whether whether are we putting any restrictions when we are doing the review of literature. And the time period when any evaluation of these interventions may have taken place. Like I am restricting all published studies from the year 2015 onwards only I am looking at it, or am I looking at the studies which were done from 1970? Okay, so that is the time period that we have to set in. Are we looking at studies for the last 5 years, for the last 10 years, or last 20 years? And whether data from unpublished studies are to be included. This is for systematic review, we need to be specified. So the review of literature, when we write, in the first paragraph, we have to say that we have done a literature review using these are the search terms that we used, and we have identified from all the databases, from all the unpublished studies which were accessible in the library. And we have to say this was the duration. From this year to this year, we have included the studies which are published. Then we have to say whether only English language literature we have included, and it was restricted to only South Asian region or low middle income countries or to the globe. That is the brief description you will write as a first paragraph, and then you will organize your literature review under different headings. Okay, so that is how we have to begin with the literature review. So as I said, if you are doing a systematic review, you need to really write everything very clearly. It is like a methodology. You have to have a protocol where you will clearly write. The review will include the type of studies. What are the different type of studies that you're going to include? RCTs, non-RCTs, or the observational studies. And the time period from when to when, everything has to be clearly written down. Okay, so that is very important. Then the eligibility criteria will specify the type of designs that you're going to include, the type of participants. Are you going to restrict only the literature for young adults, the older adults, only women population, or both the genders are included, or is it focusing only on children? That has to be very clearly mentioned, and it depends upon the topic of study. The type of interventions, whether you are seeing the studies which are published with only experimental and no, like a control group where the control did not receive any intervention, or are you including the studies which have got an experimental group where the intervention was given, and any comparator, like the group which received the standard care, the group is received an other intervention. Now exercise is compared with the no intervention, or exercise is compared with the dietary intervention, or exercise is compared with any other type of exercise, like one exercise compared with any other type of exercise. So are you going to include such type of studies? The type of outcomes which we need to address. Okay, what are the outcomes these studies have been looking at it, and the geographic location. So based on your topic, okay, we need to choose the keywords. So many of you might have seen any article that is published. Okay, any article that is published, at the base there is some few keywords that are written. Have any one of you noticed it? When you read any article, have you noticed whether the keywords are written? Anyone can answer me. No one is answering. Okay. So here we have to see any journal article that is published. You can see after the abstract, there are few keywords that are written. So we need to look for those keywords and we have to decide on which are the keywords or phrases that we are going to use. Then sometimes we need to use the subject encyclopedias and dictionaries to help you to clarify your topic and give your ideas for keywords. Like for example, there could be a synonymous word. Okay. Now labor. Labor, if you put LABOR, labor can pick up our maternity labor, it can pick up the other labor, the general, like people who are working also are considered as laborers. Okay, so it will pick up word of child labor and such things. So you need to be very clear, like what is that you're going to use. Okay. So these keywords will definitely help us to expand on our topic and help us to give us more information. What is that we are going to search? So identifying the keywords is very important. Then next is we need to identify synonyms and related terms. So when we are going to design how we are going to search, we have to have all our concepts very clearly written down, saying that these are the things that I am going to use in my search. Okay. So it is necessary to include a wide range of free text terms for each of the concepts selected. Now, if I'm selecting a topic of obesity, okay. Now, if I select obesity, there could be different related terms. Obese could be overweight, it could be, okay. So like that, one term has got different meaning. So that is why we need to look at the dictionaries. We need to look at the synonyms and see what are the things that we are going to identify, and we need to identify all possible synonyms and related terms for each of your the concepts that we are going to use. Now here in my slide, I have used PICO elements, and the PICO is basically used for systematic review. I am not going to cover that here. The P stands for the problem or the patient, I stands for intervention, C stands for comparison, and O for outcome. And that is how we are going to do the systematic search. But if you are doing an interventional study, it is good if you can use this PICO for the search. Then to continue, we have to see note synonyms and related terms. For example, rust and corrosion. Okay, it could be the similar terms. Okay, it is related. Then pressure sore or decubitus ulcer. Okay, it's also related. Lift and elevator. Okay, now lift has got different meanings. So we have to be very careful when we use the word lift in our search. Okay, so what will happen if you put lift? It could be a car lift, it could be a car lift, it could be a lifting of any equipment, lifting a person, so many things it can mean. Okay, so we need to be very careful. Then American spellings like color and COLOUR. Same way labor, we have LABOR and LABOUR. Okay, so there are different meanings. Then plural, fish and fishes. Then acronyms and abbreviations like computer aided design. We call it as CAD. Okay, or it can mean coronary artery disease. So we have to be very careful. Then variant spellings, tumor or tumor. Okay, related terms like brain or head. All these things has to be thought about when we do a real search. Okay, when we do a real search for literature using various databases. So some of the tips that we need to keep in mind is we have to think laterally about how others may describe the same concept. Okay, now the concept of obesity, I may write it as obesity. Some of them may write it as obese individual. Some of them may write it as overweight individual. Okay, so you have to really think how others may describe the same concept. Okay, what terminology is used internationally? Just put that particular term and have a wider look and see what is the variation of the terms that are used internationally. Are there spelling differences in UK English and US English words? Then check the search terms used in other papers or systematic reviews or other terms may be suggested from this. Also, you can pick up. Then it might be useful to check relevant dictionaries and encyclopedias and key text for alternate terms. Okay, then we need to build a list of each of the search terms. For example, our study may be on exercise-based rehabilitation program for coronary artery disease. Okay, so here now in exercise-based rehabilitation, what all the possible terms I need to think of? Okay, one is rehabilitation, one is exercise, one is exercise therapy, one is sports, one is physical education, one is physical training, aerobics. If you list, the list will continue. Now, you may ask me, how do I get an idea like what terms to be used? So just put exercise-based rehabilitation as a search, and then you will get the different terms that are used. So from there, you can pick up initially, and then you can make the list of terms that has to be used. Then it will identify that particular study. Okay. So this is when we do everything online electronically, the search. Okay, now in coronary heart disease also there are different terms for coronary heart disease, like coronary heart disease. It could be coronary heart bypass, myocardial ischemia, infarction, coronary disease, coronary thrombosis, etc. So that is one, we have to make a list of each of the search terms. Then next is when we search the databases, we also need to understand how to use this truncation and wildcards. Okay, this is not fixed for all the databases. Okay, you have to study each of the databases before you use the truncation and wildcards. And every database has got a help there and they have got their tutorial. So that tutorial we need to go through before you start using the search for the databases, because we may not know are we using the right truncation and the wildcards. Okay, so truncation is to shorten or cut off at the end of the word or a phrase. Okay, it is used in database searches to ensure the retrieval of all possible variation of a search term, and all databases allows truncation, but the symbol used may vary. And the databases usually allow words to be truncated at the end, and most of the databases use an asterisk to find alternate endings for the term, and PubMed supports only end truncation. Okay, in between you cannot use. Wildcards we can use, but we have to make sure that each, I said, this asterisk cannot be used for other database. You need to have specific truncations used for specific databases. For example, now Tarap, and there is put a star. Okay, you can see after Tarap they have put a star, and when you retrieve, when you put like this for search, you will get the terms like therapy, therapies, therapist, therapeutic, therapeutical. Everything will be searched because the beginning term is Tarap. The ending term is truncated, so it will look for all possible combination of it. Then teen also. After teen, if you put a star, it will look for teen, teens, teenage, teenager, teenagers. Okay, so that is where the asterisk will help. Otherwise, you need to put therapy or therapies or therapist or therapeutic or therapeutical. But instead, if you put therap and star, it will retrieve all these terms. Then wildcards are symbols that are used, and again, it is database specific. Okay, you cannot use question mark in all the databases. Okay, we have to remember, because some of the database uses the dollar symbol, some of the databases use the question mark symbol. Okay, so that we need to understand. So it is typed in place of a letter or letters within a keyword, like WOM question mark N can find both women and women. Okay, pediatric. Okay, P after that question mark can search for pediatric and pediatric. So that is where the wildcard symbols will help. If you're not using wildcard, you need to search with altered spellings. Okay, you need to search pediatric or pediatric. Both you need to put. And when we do a search in the databases, we have to have, as I said, we have to have different concepts, and for different concepts, you need to have the synonyms, alternate terms, okay, everything we need to identify, and then we have to combine all the areas. Now, if this is a study which is done to see the substance abuse among children, okay. What are the children with substance abuse problems and interventions that could help in preventing this substance abuse? So here, see the authors, they have taken substance abuse as one concept, but the alternate terms that are related to substance abuse are addiction, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, addicts, cocaine, narcotics, etc. Okay, because all this belong to the concept of substance abuse. Then children concept has got child, children, teenagers, adolescents, pre-teens, young people, etc. So all these terms are belonging to the children concept. Then they are looking at only the randomized control trials. So they have used randomized control trial, controlled clinical trial. Okay. So that is why they are focusing only on these particular areas. And that is how you are combining the three different concepts when you do the search. So within the concept, we use a term called as or. Within the concept, you use the term called as or, and between the concept, you use the term called as and. You are combining substance abuse or addiction or alcohol abuse or drug abuse or addicts or cocaine or narcotics. And if there is something else, or then you close the bracket and then you put and. With children concept, again you open the bracket and you write child or children or teenagers or adolescents, all these things. Then close the bracket and then you put and. Then you put open another bracket and write randomized control trial or control clinical trial. So that is how you combine the concepts when you search. Okay, so that is what I said. When you combine, you are using the Boolean operators called as or, and mostly, and sometimes you can use the term not. Okay, so these Boolean operators allow you to link the terms together. It will help you either to widen a search or to exclude terms from your search results. So or is used to broaden the search, increase the number of references that are retrieved. So use OR, that is or, to search for synonyms and related terms for each concept within a research question. Like there I said substance abuse or addicts or addiction, like that. So here you can see the example: obesity or body weight or body mass index or adipose tissue or body fat or overweight. Okay. Overweight is put in inverted comma. Here overweight is not put in inverted comma. Okay. So like that you need to think. Okay, and is used to narrow a search, therefore decreasing the number of references. For example, obesity and children will look only to the children group and intervention, whatever intervention you are trying to put. Okay, whether aspirin is an intervention for children with obesity or aspirin is an intervention for children with Ray's syndrome. And not is used to narrow a search, therefore decreasing the number of references. Like for example, you want the studies which are done only with male and not female, adult only and not adolescent. Okay, so that is where you are using the word not. Then there is something, the concept called as nesting. Okay. So the nest search terms to control the logic of your search. Now, for example, I said you have to open a bracket, put rehabilitation or exercise therapy or sports or physical training or aerobics, then close the bracket, then you put and coronary heart bypass or myocardial ischemia or myocardial infarction or coronary disease or coronary thrombosis. So this particular concept is put in the bracket with the or because it is searching all the synonyms, and this particular concept is searching with all or the different concepts within and between these two, rehabilitation and coronary artery disease, we have got the and. So the keywords sometimes in some of the databases, they are also called as the mesh terms. Okay, that is nothing but the medical subject heading searched in mesh database. Okay, so this will tell you the entry terms which are useful for suggesting to you the synonyms or alternate terms that you might search in the abstracts and titles of the articles. So what happens is that when we publish an article, and if an article appears in your PubMed, okay, or if it appears in Scopus, so when we use those key terms, because that's why every journal article will ask for the keywords. Okay, after abstract, they will ask, please give 5 keywords. So those keywords are converted into medical subject headings by the databases. Okay, and later on it will be used because they connect similar terms and it is readily available. So if you're using a mesh term, it will connect all the related words and you don't have to repeatedly do the search. So now, for example, if we are searching literature through PubMed or Medline. So we have to create a logic grid with one column for each concept. Like how I showed you, the grid includes rehabilitation, everything, exercise-based rehabilitation, you include all the possible terms. And on the other side, you have got all the terms which are related to the coronary artery disease. Then look for appropriate mesh terms. Remember, there may be multiple mesh terms you could use for a concept, or there may not be a mesh term to describe a concept you are looking for. Okay. When there is no mesh term there, you put the word, text word. Then look for words or phrases to search in titles and abstract. Check the entry terms listed in mesh for suggestions and add this to your logic grid. Then perform the search and add limits to your search by choosing from the filters at the left-hand side of the screen. I will show you that how it is. Then you can save your search and rerun it at any time in the website. They have a website where you could log in, which is called an NCBI, and you can save the search and you can set up an alert. So when there are new articles that have been published on that particular topic, you will get the alert. Okay, there are a lot of lot of softwares that are available where you can export it and you can use for organizing your literature search. One example is EndNote. It is not free, it has to be, you have to pay for it. Okay, now this is a PubMed. Okay, when you open the PubMed, the screen will appear like this. Okay, now you have, it is got PubMed quick start guide, full text articles, tutorials, PubMed tutorials, everything. You can go through it. PubMed can be accessed through mobile, okay, through single citation matcher, okay, all that it has got. Then it has got the mesh database. Okay, you can open separately the mesh database so that you will be looking. Okay. And it also gives latest literature which are published in specific topics. So this is the mesh database. Okay, the previous slide I said you can go to the, here you can, if you click on this mesh database, it will take you to this site of mesh. Okay, and here you can see the term comes as mesh, and here there is a advanced search. You have to click on the advanced, then it opens, and then you can type in the word that you are wanting to search. So there is one concept in PubMed, it is called as automatic term mapping. Okay, when you use no quotation marks, tags or asterisks, PubMed uses an automatic term mapping. Okay. Then when, like the previous slide I said here, there is a mesh. You can, when you click that down, you get different options. Okay. It will tell, are you wanting to search only the journals, or are you wanting to search the term in the author? Are you wanting to search the term in the text? Okay. Or in all fields? Are you going to see the term in everywhere? Wherever the term appears, are you wanting to search? So you can put the restrictions where it should appear. If you put all fields, it has to search. Like now coronary. Coronary, anywhere if it is written in the whole text of the published article, it will pick up. Okay, so that is what it means. Now here I have put a term clinical practice in inverted commas and I gave a search. So when I search, here it comes the search details. Now this term clinical practice has been searched in all fields. Okay, and how many articles are there? There are 1,32,143 which will highlight the term clinical practice. Here in the title, the word clinical practice is not there, but it is there somewhere in the literature. Somewhere in the article, the word clinical practice appears. So that is why it is searching 1,32,143 are there. Now, if you go on these sites, you have got filters. Okay. So you have to say the publication dates you want to select for 5 years, 10 years, or you can custom range. You can tell from this year to like 2015 to 2022, you want a current date. Okay. Whether you want only clinical trials, or are you wanting to include the review of literature also? Are you wanting to include the abstract, or are you wanting only free full text or all the full text articles? Okay, so that is where you can select the filters. Okay, these are the filters that can be used. So when the filters are activated, it will come here. Filters activated, only clinical trials are being searched. So now it is restricted to, now here the search was done on this influenza epidemic. You can find there are 343 clinical trials. Okay. Now, in the search, when we go about further, okay, there is a tutorial. There is a YouTube tutorial is there, how you can carry out your search. Now, I have used the 3 topics: clinical practice, ethics, okay, ethics as subheading, ethics in all fields and ethics in mesh terms, okay, and clinical practice. This is the search builder. It is adding up, building. I will show you in PubMed database how to build up this search. Okay. So these are the building blocks of a search. Okay. You are using the Boolean operators, or, and, not, asterisks for truncation, and brackets for having a controlled search. So this is the complete building blocks of a literature search. If you know how to use it appropriately, you will be able to identify a good number of studies if they have been published. Okay, this is the mesh database. I said you can see in the PubMed, the arrow shows where it is available. Okay, so that is about the PubMed. I will demonstrate to you PubMed a little later. Now, if you go to CNRS, CNRS is the nursing journal site. Okay, so again, similarly, we need to create a logic grid with 1 column for each concept. Okay, that is what I have said on exercise-based rehabilitation and coronary artery disease. We had prepared a logic Grid. Same way you need to prepare on any topic, you can make the logic grid. Then look for appropriate CNRS headings. Okay, in CNRS it is called as the CNRS headings. In the case of PubMed, it is called as mesh. Then we need to look for words to search in titles and abstract. Check the used for terms with the CNRS headings for suggestions, as well as words appearing in titles and abstracts of articles you find. Okay, add this to your logic grid, perform the search, add limits. Like in PubMed, I showed where are the filters. Same way here you have the limits. Okay, the CNRS, you go get this EBSCO. Okay, you have search all resources to health sciences library, that will give you all books, everything. But the EBSCO host will give the published study, that is the CNRS plus with full text and other full text databases for EBSCO. So that is what we need to click, and then we need to go to the search. Now here I have gone, there is basic search and advanced search. Basic search will search only that particular term. Advanced search will help you to build up on your terms, like use the and or operators, and you can build up the search. Now, when the term ethics was put in CNRS and search, you could find there is 45,597 hits, because all of these are identifying ethics in their search. Okay, on the side here, you can see full text, reference available, abstracts available from it is searched from 1958. Okay, 1938 to 2016. Okay, you can change the dates, all results. Okay. So here you have to use with the advanced search, you need to click. It is said search with and or search with, or it gives the guidelines. Accordingly, you can search for the words. And then there is a central trial registry. As I said, Cochrane Central Trial Registry. Earlier it was free, now it is not freely available. Okay, you can go for the central, not Cochrane Library. In Cochrane Library, there is a Cochrane Central Trial Registry. All the researchers' trials that get the list of references, and then you need to use that. Okay, now another example, if I take, I'm using the breast cancer with tamoxifen. Tamoxifen for breast cancer. Now this term breast cancer, you can use the mesh descriptor breast neoplasm, explode all trees will tell you all the terms which are related to the breast neoplasm, like breast near cancer, breast near neoplasm, breast near carcinoma, breast near tumor, breast near. The variation in spelling also is put, and it is said #1 or #2, all this combination. It is combined, so you will get everything. Then mesh descriptor tamoxifen will explode all the trees related to tamoxifen. Then you search for the term tamoxifen specifically. Then you can combine this #8 and #9. Then you are combining this #7 and #10, which will tell you, it will take into consideration the breast cancer, and also it will take into consideration tamoxifen. Now the term here is used best near cancer and a star. Star will look for cancer, cancerous, everything. Whatever ending comes with all this, it will include. So that is about the search. Okay, now I will just show you how to do a literature search in the PubMed. You can just take 5 minutes break so that I could go to my website and open it. Okay, all of you please take a minute break so that I could open my database. Is my screen visible?
Yeah,
Hello?
it's visible. Yeah, it's visible.
So now I have gone to the PubMed database. Now there is an advanced here. Okay, now I have to click on the advanced link. Now here you can see that there is all fields. Now if you click down, you will have just an idea of all fields: author, first identifier, book, okay, mesh terms, date, investigator, journal, mesh meta topic, mesh subheading, mesh terms are there. Okay. Then text word it will search, or you want the word to be searched only in the title and abstract, both you want to search it. Basically, it is good if you search for all fields and if it search the mesh terms. Okay. Now I have selected here all fields and then I enter my term. Now I will enter my term as obesity. Okay. Then I need to add. It will be added in the query box. Okay. Then you will go for search. Now there are how many hits you can see? 4,39,716 articles are there, which is going to talk about the obesity alone. Okay, it is going to talk about the obesity alone. Now I'll go back to my advanced search. Then I will go here and select the mesh. If it is there in the mesh term, it will come. Because sometimes all the keywords may not be added to the, you have to be very careful with the spellings. Okay, if the spellings are wrong, then it will not pick up. Okay. Now I have selected obesity as mesh terms. There are 2,53,05 results which are showing as the obesity mesh terms. Okay, then here I can click. I want only for the last 10 years. Okay, so filters applied in the last 10 years only will be selected. Okay, now go to the advanced. So here down, if you go here, you can see the history and search details. Okay, it has searched for term obesity. Then it has searched for term obesity with the mesh terms. Then it has searched obesity mesh terms. When I was doing this, it has added filters. So that is why when it added for the last 10 years, there are 1,24,176. Okay. Then now I am going to see, I will use the term overweight. And overweight I am checking in all fields. Okay, there are 1,52,700 and because it last 10 years only it has searched. Okay, so there are so many articles which are there. Now here you have got a choice to select. Are you want to use only randomized control trials, or do you want only systematic reviews or any review, meta-analysis, clinical trial, books and documents. So whichever you want to select, you restrict, you have to restrict. If you do not want to restrict, allow it to search for all. Okay. Then I'll go again and I will select the mesh terms and I will put overweight. Now I do not know whether this word is there in the mesh terms or not. Okay, then we have to go to the mesh database and check whether that word is there. If it is there, then we can select it. Okay, so that is how we will get the terms which are there. Now I have only used two terms, obesity and overweight. Okay, there are a lot of synonyms for obesity, overweight. I had told you there could be obese, obesity, okay, overweight. It could be body mass index. It could be the abdominal fat. It could be the they can measure overweight in terms of the waist hip ratio. So many things are there. If you want to use all those combinations, you can use all those combinations. Okay, so here you have got actions. You want to add a query, you can do it. You want to delete this search, you can delete that particular search term. Okay. Now edit your search query. Now you want to do, now this hash 1, I'm using with or, hash 2, or hash 3, or hash 4, sorry, or hash 5. Okay, so I am combining all because they are all synonymous terms. So I am combining with or. Then I put a search. Okay, so I get 9,95,028,254 results. You can see it is widening. Okay, so everywhere the term is used, it is taking up. Okay, so it has taken so many, all the combination terms it has been taken. We do not know whether this literature is carrying everything related to that particular article. Then I will tell you later. Then you are searching, another term is children. Okay, it is using children. Search, this many results are there. Add. I will put child dot star so that it can search for everything. Okay, add. Okay, now you go there. In your search builder, you have children, child, teen. You can now include all the synonymous which I have told. Now I am combining hash 7 or hash 8 or hash 9. Sorry, 9. Okay, then I'm going to do the search. So it has given this many number of things. Now I am combining obesity with children. So the obesity, all the combinations are searched in hash 6, and all the combination of children and teens are searched in hash 10. So I will put here hash 6. Then I'm using the word and hash 10. So how many articles I have got? 8,62,145 articles are there. Now, if I click on this, I have to see whether it is relevant or not, because anywhere it has picked up the word child. Now I want only full text. Okay, I am restricting to full text. I don't want books and documents, so I am only restricting to clinical trials. I am restricting to randomized control trials. Okay, I am restricting to systematic reviews and also meta-analysis. Okay, now I have found the results are 85,001. So if I go here, I can find 85,189. Now I have to look at the titles and then you have to screen. Sometimes the titles will not tell you anything. So you have to go to the, because here there is a word called as randomized clinical trial. So it has picked up. So you have to see whether it is the article is relevant or not. Okay. So you have to click each of this. Now exercise training for blood pressure, whether it was done on children, it is being identified. So we have to do the screening and we have to pick up the relevant articles. Okay. So once you pick up the relevant articles, you need to click here, whichever is relevant for it. I'm just doing this because we do not know whether it is related. And then further there is a children here. There is a obesity systematic review. You have to go through the abstract and see whether it is relevant or not. After title screening and abstract, you have to remove the irrelevant articles and then you have to do further screening. Because here I have used only few of the synonyms and terms. So the search is little broad. Okay, so when you really restrict, you will get the concentrated things. Because I just used overweight children. I have not used any other parameter. Because what am I seeing in overweight and children, whether exercise-based intervention or is it just a study which is done on children and how many are having overweight? Then you have to include the term prevalence. Okay, so then it will restrict more. So this is how to do a search and just a general idea of how to do a search. But before you do a search, what you feed will give you the output. If you are feeding, you are not doing the correct properly, then it will not give the proper way of doing it. Okay, so here I was telling you about the mesh database. So you go to the mesh database here, and then you can see whether the term is there in the mesh database. Now you can type obesity and see whether the okay, so this is the search builder. You can use the obesity terms. You want to search with OR. Okay, you want to search with the mesh terms. Okay. You want to search with the text word obesity. You want to search with the, okay, this much only is there. So you have used all fields, you have used mesh terms, you have used text word. Then you go to search. Okay, you have got 36 article on that particular term. Now, if you go, this word is there in the mesh. So here it has found that it is searched mesh words with all these things. So you can copy the whole thing and go to the and enter in your query box and you can search. Okay, now I have found all the related things with this. There are 19,000. Go to my advanced search. Now it will come here. Now you have all these terms here, so you don't want this, the prior search which you have done, like you have searched for obesity. So you don't want all these things. So what you can do is, when you are continuing your search here, you can click #17 and you want the children thing. Where is the children thing come? Okay, here you have got children, child, teen. It has searched for all the fields, filters, everything it has used, and you have used 7, 8, and 9. That is #10. Okay, you can use and #10. So what has happened? It has taken all these terms, obesity and all these terms, and it has taken only the children. It has not used all other things. Okay, it has not used these terms which initially you had done. Okay, so that is how you can do it. You don't want this, you can delete it. This history record you don't want, you can delete it, because you have learned now how to do it. So you have got the new history record. So all this you can try. So each of these old history records you can delete. You can use only this particular combination to be used. Okay, so that is how you have to do a search in the PubMed Advanced. Okay, so you have understood the mesh terms. So they have used this search details for doing the search in the mesh. So you can put any word in the mesh and see whether it is there, that particular word. If it is there, it will come under your search details. You can copy that search details and go back to your PubMed and start doing your search. So this is about how to go about doing a search literature search in one of the database. Okay, this is doing a literature search in one of the database. Any questions you have?
Then that will take up now the questions. The parts.
No, now here anything you have, then I will tell you a little bit about Prisma, but it is not relevant here. But since Dr. Lata asked me to tell you about the Prisma, I am going to tell a little bit about the Prisma. Any questions related to this search which I showed you? There is no question? Okay, so in the library portal, here you can see there are different online databases. Okay, there is Sinal Complete, there is Med1, there is the Oxford Journals, Ovid SP Journals, Ovid Medline, ProQuest Central, ProQuest Library, ProQuest for Nursing and Allied Health Databases, PubMed is there, Sage Journal, Science Direct, Skywal, Scopus, Springer Link, okay, Taylor Francis Journals, Up to Date, Web of Science, Wiley Online Journals, and WHO publications. So the Embase, so these are some of the things, databases which we have got in our library. So we can access and search the literature in these are all the online bibliographical databases. General, if you're searching, do not use Google for search, instead use Google Scholar for search. So when you use a Google Scholar for search, I'll just go to Google and I can put Google Scholar. You can search in Google. Do not search for articles in Google. Instead, search in Google Scholar. So when you give an article in Google Scholar, now if you put this particular author, Melnick, who is very well known for her evidence-based practice information, okay, you will get the studies which was published by her, or it will be only research studies which are published in different databases. Okay, you will get. Okay, if I put my name, okay, so mine is, so I will get my published articles in the list, which are the articles which are there in my name from the year now currently from 2022 onwards. What are the research studies or the published articles which are there in my name? Okay, so that is how you can say there are how many 520 that is citations. Okay, so how many articles are there? This is up to 2020, 2019. Okay, so I have around 70, nearly 70 publications which are there, so that can be put. So everything, this is only the published literature which I have in my name. You can go to Google Scholar. Okay, you can search for obesity in children and search. You will get all the articles that are published in different databases or different journals where it is available. Okay, so this is the best way of searching the articles in Google. Instead of Google, you are using the Google Scholar. Okay, for research-based articles. Okay, Google Scholar is one which you can initially search to identify. I will just tell you where are the keywords which are there. Okay, so this is the article which is published. And here you can see in any journal article which is published, there is a keyword. So they have put the keyword as childhood, obesity, incidence, prevention, treatment, and complication. Now, when you put children, you need to think, okay, some people will publish putting it as childhood. Okay, so that is how you get the synonyms. Or see, there is overweight children. Somewhere they have put the term obesity. Somewhere they have put overweight. So that is how you will learn to identify where are the keywords that are located. Any article that you have, it will tell you about the keywords that are published. Okay, any article will tell you about the keywords that are published. Now, exercise training for blood pressure. This is one article I've just clicked here. So this is a systematic review and a meta-analysis. So they have used their review of so they have identified articles available in databases. They have identified 103 articles. Articles published between 2003 and February 2012 identified databases are 522. Total, they have screened 625 articles, out of which, after full text review, they have excluded 533. Non-randomized control trial were 360. Combined other interventions were 66. No relevant outcome measures were there. Duplicate data, outcome data not provided. So they have excluded all this. These are the reasons why they have excluded. Then full text articles assessed for eligibility is 93. And then okay, studies included in meta-analysis were this much. Okay, this is the Prisma flow chart. This is only used for systematic review. Okay, this is only used for systematic review. For simple review of literature, we do not use the Prisma flow chart. But you can write as a summary which are the databases that you have searched, which are the articles, how many articles that you have identified in these of the databases, what were the terms that you have used for searching. You can mention these were the key terms that you have used in identifying the literature search. So everywhere you will get the database. So any queries you have?
My participants they have asked some queries.
Okay.
Okay, so they have mentioned it in question and answer section. So
I will stop share.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful and very elaborate presentation. So
wait, I will see the question answers.
Yeah.
How to check published or unpublished literature? Okay, published literature will be available in all the databases. Okay, unpublished literatures are the theses which are there in the library. Okay, you need to go to the library and search for unpublished literature. Or sometimes you may get the conference proceedings where an abstract is there. Then you contact the author and you get for the information. That those are all unpublished literature. Published literature is what I have shown you now. In all the databases it comes. That is the published literature. How many literature is necessary for PhD? There is nothing, how many number. You need to cover all the databases that are available so that you know these were the databases you could access, and from there you have found this literature. Okay, any PhD to be done, first you need to go through the Clinical Trial Registry of India and see whether anyone is doing the study. Then second, you need to do a overall search and see what are the studies done in that particular area. And once you get an idea, then you make your search terms properly, like how I said, build up your search terms and use one database to do a complete search initially, and then you need to go to all the databases and search. Then only you can say, I cannot say like 10 studies are enough, 20 studies are enough. No. For a PhD, you really need to do a good background work and say, there is literature available in the databases. However, these are the research gaps that you have identified. That is why you are going to build up on your study. So that is very important. Is there any format to write the review of literature? There is a format, review of literature. There is no existing format, but you can organize your review of literature in different headings. Suppose if your studies on intervention related to obesity, you need to organize on what is the prevalence or the magnitude of problem of obesity in children. What are the various interventions that are carried out among the children related to obesity? If your intervention is specific, if it is only dietary intervention or exercise intervention, you need to be specific in organizing those particular. So if your general is interventions, you can say, you can organize in terms of exercise-based interventions, dietary interventions, or the medication, the medical or the surgical interventions. What to do if review of literature is less? Can we proceed with the study? Yes, you can proceed with the study, but you have to say that your literature search was complete. Give me some information regarding patent and what is H-index journal. Patent I'm not going to cover here because my topic is on literature search, and patent is a different thing. Okay, patenting is some innovative things that you're doing. The H-index journal is, there is nothing called as H-index. H-index depends upon the citation. Okay, now when I said, when I went into Google Scholar, okay, when I searched my name under Google Scholar, okay, okay, here you can see H-index. I have got 527 citations and my H-index is 13. So it depends upon the number of people who have cited, and proportionately the H-index is being calculated. Okay, and there is I-10 index. For every 10, how many I-10 index I will get. So that is what is H-index. There is nothing called as H-index journals. Okay. So it is the largest number. H is such that the publications have more of citations. So based on your citations, newer citations, the H-index is calculated. Okay, systematic review and meta-analysis can we do in PhD? Yes, you can do it in PhD. Okay, impact factor is the visibility of the journals in the Like we have Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 journals. So Q1 has got a high impact factor, like Nature has got an impact factor more than 40, 54. Okay, so that is the, based on the citation, it is the site score and the impact factor is calculated. Explain the differences in scoping review, umbrella review, and integrated review. So these are all the different types of reviews that you used. Different terminologies are used. Okay, scoping reviews do not use meta-analysis, but it is to be done in a systematic way where you tell give a vast experience, the vast literature that is available on that particular topic. How do you find out that if anyone else is doing research as same as of you? That is why I said you need to go to Clinical Trial Registry of India, and everyone must register in Clinical Trial Registry. Then only you will come to know. Search for all the trial registers, search for Central Trial Registry, all the databases I have said, then only you will be able to understand whether anyone is doing the similar study or not. Equator is a site where you can get all the checklist. Okay, now if you go to Equator site, okay, now here you have the Equator network. Now in the Equator network, you have the different ways of reporting guidelines for main randomized trial. You have consort. For observational studies, you have strobe. For systematic review, you have Prisma. For study protocols, you have Spirit. For diagnostic, you have START. Case reports, CARE. Clinical practice guidelines, agree. These are some of the guidelines which will tell you how you can write your studies. Okay, it will guide you how to write the study. So it will give you all the recommendations of how to write your research. Okay, writing research, peer reviewing your research, using guidelines in your journal, how to develop a reporting guideline. Okay, there are different toolkits that are available, and this is a which will give you a guidance of how to do it. Now Consort has got a way by which you can report a randomized control trials. Okay, it has got the checklist, the relevant things. So you can go through that Equator network for it. Where does the systematic literature review have to be registered? In Prospero. We register the systematic literature review in Prospero. Ma'am, how do you find out whether article published in a journal is Q1, Q2, Q3 or Q4? Usually we need to go to the Scopus database. Okay, you have to go to the Scopus database, and then you will be able to identify whether the journal is in Q1, Q2, Q3 or Q4. Is it necessary we should have review of literature for latest 5 years? Yes, you should have always the latest literature. Will my research study be strong if my review of literature is less? No, you have to build up your research methodology in a stronger way, and you have to say that this is the study you are doing.
I think, ma'am, you have taken all the queries.
How to make available a study in the database? You have to publish. If you publish your study, it will be available in the database. Okay, I think I have covered almost all the questions.
Yes, ma'am, you have taken all the queries posted in chat box and question and answer box.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful and very elaborative presentation. Today's presentation, you have covered everything which in under conducting a literature review. And
I think there was a huge number of participants. I do not know how whether they have understood it.
I hope they got the point, ma'am, because very elaborately you have explained everything, and even you have taken a live session for them. So I think it would have been easy for them to understand.
They have to practice. Every database has got a tutorial, so it will help them. Okay?
Yeah, really, that's true. Okay, for participants, tomorrow we have a session on research design, that is non-experimental and analytical research design. So at 4 o'clock, I think again you will join back for the session on research design. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so
I
much.
finished early. If they have more queries, they can ask me.
If anyone having any further queries, they may ask. They can post in the chat box. Systematic. One of the participants have asked, ma'am, systematic review and meta-analysis can be.
Systematic review is a different process. It has got a lot of steps from identifying the question till you publish. Okay, it doesn't come under this basic review of literature. It is a methodology. You need to have different steps in doing a systematic review. Okay. Because systematic review is something different. Okay, I cannot tell you systematic review is review of literature. It has got formulating a question. It has got steps in searching the literature, different databases, how to search. Then you need to have your consolidate the search. Then you need to have your data extraction format developed for extracting the data. And then you are going to do similar type of studies. You can do the meta-analysis if the data is similar, and then you do a publication. It is like a research. Systematic review is like a research where your data is your primary studies. Whereas in an original research, your data is your samples. So that is the difference between a systematic, because you're collecting data from all published, unpublished studies. So your published and unpublished studies becomes your data. So it is a method. There is a procedure of writing a systematic review. You cannot mix review of literature with systematic review. The review of literature that we do for postgraduate studies is a simple review of literature. We just summarize the studies which are done in that area. And it is not exhaustive. It is not complete. Okay, it is just you are summarizing and saying so and so has done a study on this topic in this place and this is what he has found. Okay, that is what is review of literature that we are following. That is not systematic review.
Okay. And one of the participants have asked, ma'am, do the pilot study on the clinical trial before registering on CTRI? Somebody can do a pilot study on clinical trial before registering for CTRI?
Yeah, pilot study can be done, but the pilot study cannot be published because the pilot study is only to explore for the feasibility. So once you do the feasibility, then IEC gives you the clearance. Once the IEC gives you the clearance, before you enroll a participant for your main study, you need to do a CTRI registration. So you cannot use data of taking participants before a CTRI registration, because the date of enrollment of the subject will start once you do a CTRI registration, because they will monitor with your published article and the protocol that you have published.
Okay.
That is the purpose of registering in CTRI.
And how this grading is done, ma'am? Low, medium, and high in systematic reviews and meta-analysis? That is
a grade approach. That is once a systematic review is completed, we are grading the systematic review. There is again a methodology of grading. There is a grade approach, a grade tool which is used.
Okay. Ma'am, one of the participants have asked about the ethical permission, whether it is needed for conducting a systematic review.
No, for systematic review, ethics is not required.
Okay.
But you cannot call identifying a study in one of the databases a systematic review. Systematic review should be exhaustive, include all the data, possible databases.
Okay. And
systematic review cannot be conducted by one. You have to have a team, because you need to have data validation. You need to assess for the quality of the published studies. For RCTs, you need to have risk of bias. For non-RCTs, you have different tools that are available. Those are all the steps, like how you do validity and reliability of your tool in your primary study. Same way you have validity and reliability done in a systematic review.
Okay. One more participant have asked, ma'am, whether if someone has published a study in any journal, whether it would be automatically added in any database.
If they are published in a journal, if the database has got access to that journal, yes, definitely. It will take some time. It will not come immediately in a database. It will come.
Okay. So thank you so much, ma'am. I think we have taken up all the queries which was asked by the participants, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
You're
much.
At the end, thank you very much, Dr. Judith. Despite your busy schedule, you have taken your time to take this session, which was very informative, and also you include a practical demonstration, so that especially it is very useful. It will be very useful for the beginners, I believe, to conduct a very good literature review, as well as how to narrow down the review. You have explained everything. That's the reason why we got many queries, and all the queries were answered too. And the information to the participants is that the session is available in YouTube. The link has been shared in the chat box. You can go back and see the some of you have even asked for the link. I have shared in the chat box, so you feel free to go to YouTube link and watch the session, which may be useful in future for the references. And also, I take this opportunity to thank the sponsor Nursing Next and CBS for giving us this platform to reach thousands of participants. And also, again, to inform you all, today it has been attended more than 750 participants, and more will be attending in the YouTube also. Thank you once again, all the participants as well as the speaker, and also the moderator, Mr. Manish, and all the people involved today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Can
you.
I leave the link?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Muthu. Thank you.